So I was thinking about what's going on in the world today, like I do all day, every day. And just recently, you've probably already heard that there is another foreshadowing of or trace of the Great Reset happening right before our eyes. And the example of that, which I would like to give, is Apple's subscription, basically their hardware subscription for iPhones. And you may say, well, what does that have to do with the Great Reset? Well, one of the mantras of the World Economic Forum are uh, you will be you will own nothing and be happy. Okay, and I'd argue that that's not possible. Owning nothing and having no accountability or personal property and being happy is just not possible. Okay, because when you give up property, you also give up control. Okay, and so Apple, one of the biggest companies in the world, one of the best marketing companies in the world, is in talks of developing a hardware subscription, which they will certainly find a way to bring to the market and have a lot of people sign up for it very quickly. I'm sure. Apple's very good at figuring things out like that and finding a way to make money on them. So um, while I don't see this as a inherently uh, devious thing, right? Apple's free to do whatever they want. It is concerning that so many people are going to just willfully buy into it and sign up for the subscription and not really care. Basically, because it's just an iPhone. Who cares? It's such a trivial object, right? If I own it or I don't own it, who cares? I still have it, right? Look at me. I have it on the day it came out. That's what people care about. Look at me. I have this new phone. Look at me. I have this new car. Look at me. I have this new house in this new neighborhood. That's all people actually care about. I know it sounds horrible and cynical, but it's true. Okay. And so they're going to have a lot of success in rolling this out. Now, when it comes to an iPhone, who cares if you own it or the corporation that made it owns it? It's an iPhone, right? But let's think about other things that are maybe a little bit more important, like property. Okay, your house, your residence, things like that. Would you feel as good about it if you didn't own it, right? And somebody else owned it, if you were a permanent renter? Probably not. There's nothing against renting. I'm not making that argument. But what I'm saying is, what if you could never own your property, right? Where you live or land that you want to use for some reason, right? What if you can never own it? Um, that's a scary insight, right? And I think we're being conditioned, or I know we're being conditioned to get used to that, right? We're already kind of there. If you think about the typical American household, everything is financed. The cars, often the furniture, the TVs, the iPhones will soon be financed, right? Or they already are, I should say. The house itself is financed. So we're used to and conditioned to running the payment game, okay, and just making sure the payments fit within our income every month and making them all, and we get to keep using the stuff and we get to keep having that new car and that new house and that fancy neighborhood, right? And so we're losing the desire and the grit of ownership. It's hard, it's difficult to own things, right? You have to take on the risk, you have to take on the burden of maintenance and paying the taxes on it and all these different things, right? And when something goes wrong with it, you have to fix it. Well, companies see an opportunity there and they say, well, Mr. Consumer, I don't want you to have to suffer with your broken iPhone. So why don't you just, let me take ownership of it? And if anything happens to it, I'll fix it. Okay. And while that's great for certain things, it's scary for other things like property and assets. And I believe this Apple program is just a indicator that the Great Reset is coming. We're gonna have it, on us before we even know it, and we're gonna look up and say, "Wow, this got here," and I can't imagine where we were. When did I last own an iPhone? Actually, do you know if you own yours or not? I do. I know that, but do you know if you own yours, or are you on a payment plan through your cell provider? It's hard to even tell at this point. So that's going to start going into all these different products that we buy, all these different things. And one day we're going to wake up and realize there's nothing there to hand down to the next generation. There's no property. We have no assets. Um, somebody else owns it. Is that the life you want to live? Is that the future you want? I don't. Let me know your thoughts.